Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Decide to Heal. And I am with the most beautiful Crystal. That sounds funny. Like it sounds like I'm with a crystal and you're very crystal, my friend. And we've already started. This is amazing. Oh, I just love this woman. You guys are going to love her too as we go into an area I think that a lot of women have experienced in their life, especially those who are up to big things in life, who have had struggles, challenges, like lots of hardship and pain, and have gotten to a point of walking through it and feeling so much better and so good, but yet like not moving to that next level yet. So I feel like it's something a lot of us can relate to. And as we go into Crystal's coaching here, you're going to get so much value out of what she has to share and what we get some deep coaching into. Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So I want to start off a little bit differently here. I met Crystal 3 or 4 years ago. Was it at the first Align event?
I think that's a trick question because the first one was little and it was in Big Bear and I didn't go to that one.
Okay. Yeah. So I spoke at an event called Align. If you all aren't familiar, it's an amazing, incredible event by Brooke Hemingway. She does it every year in January. So if you haven't checked that out, check out Align. I think it's called Align event, but I spoke at that event in Scottsdale and I think that was the first time that you and I met. It was because you ran up to the stage.
I did. I fell on the stage, very pregnant.
Yes. Nice. Okay. And then Crystal and I just kind of started to connect through social media and eventually she did the 180 group coaching program. And let's start there, Crystal, because that journey was, I think, your starting point. And then we'll get to where you're at now and then support you into breaking through to get going on all these beautiful opportunities that you've created and God is handing to you.
It's all God for sure.
Yeah.
So the first 180 group coaching class that I took, I did not have any camera on. I almost didn't show up to like the first, six maybe out of and I just listened to the recording. I had full intentions of putting my whole heart into it, but I held myself back. I didn't feel like I was worthy of the growth or the change. And so I didn't do it. I said I was gonna, but in all reality, I didn't.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's hone in on that for a second, because I think so many can relate to this. Like we say we want to do something, but then don't actually do the action that's required there. But we're still talking about like, oh, no, I really want this. But then there's nothing that actually aligns or shows that you want it, even though you're convincing yourself you do.
Yeah. And I believe you said, stop lying to yourself. And I was like, how does this lady get to talk to me like this? It's beautiful. It's so pretty. I love it. That's why I took the 180 method again, was because I knew there was still some healing and growth and transformation that needed to take place. I knew it was there. And I still had full intentions of bearing my all and doing it. And I showed up and I did learn and I did grow and I did heal. There was still one giant piece that I held on to until September 25th of this year.
Yeah.
And that's my sobriety. I quit smoking marijuana and that changed everything. Everything that I had learned, I thought I was manipulating the outcome. I thought I was lying about what I had learned and how far I had come. I don't know who to or for what reason, but it just didn't feel real until I was sober. And then it all kind of clicked. And then I realized that all the healing was still very real. I just wasn't in alignment with what Heavenly Father wanted for me. And And I fought, I kicked and screamed for that sobriety. I didn't want it at all. And it was another life coach that was like, well, just do it already. Like, stop playing around with it. Stop talking about it. Do it already. And I was like, well, in a couple of days. She's like, why? What's different in a couple of days? And her challenging me and me wanting to just be right and my stubbornness. I did it.
Yeah. So and before we keep going, like, there's emotion that's coming up right now. And even before we even started to like get into things. So what's the emotion about that's coming up right now?
I believe that I'm worthy of this growth and this love from you. Having you tell the world that I'm beautiful, Crystal. You've seen so much of me. And for you to still think that way is special.
So what does it mean to believe that you are worthy?
I guess seeing me closer to the way that God sees me. I'm probably the closest I've ever been to that.
Yeah. So good.
It is. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. From not showing up at all on camera to now showing up completely on camera in front of who knows how many people tuning into this episode and just bearing your soul.
Absolutely.
That's a 180. That's healing that has happened. But now you mentioned something real important around your sobriety and a decision. So here we are at the Decide to Heal podcast. And I talk a lot about decision and the distinction between deciding and choosing. And when you were doing the 180, the first 2 times, there was a ton of layers of healing that you were going through. And you thought you had decided. Mm-hmm. And not to take away from the healing that you had done, because think of it like a healing happens in layers. Like, we're not born with all the baggage that we end up taking on in life, right? Like,
thank goodness.
You weren't born, right? Thank goodness. Yeah. You weren't born, wanting to have marijuana as a way to cope with your feelings or to deal with whatever was going on. And I want to talk a little bit about that in a second here. I wasn't born feeling stupid and like a piece of shit. Like, things happened and there was this foundation that was set through some experience in our childhood where it's like, okay, this is how I view myself. This is how I think about myself. And almost every experience there became like the reference point and built this like layer upon layer upon layer, right? And so when we think we are deciding to heal or deciding to do something, it doesn't always happen because those deeper layers of healing have to happen first, which I think is that foundational healing you were doing in your first 2 times going through the 180. What was the difference? Because we had talked about your sobriety. You knew why you weren't. Yeah, both times. You knew why you weren't getting sober. Do you remember that?
No. Tell me.
If you had to take a guess, what would you say?
Immediately, my first thought was, will I still be funny? Will I still be who I am?
Bingo, right there. It had to do everything with your identity.
Yeah.
And specifically, like, the ego identity, the human part of you is like, because we all question that. Will I still be me? If I change this drastically or let this go or heal this thing or get out of this abusive relationship, who will I be without that?
Yes.
So that's exactly what it was. That was the reason why you were holding on to it. So what happened when you finally did truly decide?
Honesty. That first day, I was like, Heavenly Father, if you're going to make me the anti-weed poster child, I'm just going to start smoking again. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want to do it. He was like, ha. So yeah, no, I still did it kicking and screaming. I didn't want to. It was kind of like an experiment. It was like, well, what will happen? What, I won't die. So like, what's going to happen? Let's see.
Okay, so you entered into it with a place of curiosity and being willing to go there rather than, oh no, I'm going to be stubborn because I want my continued identity in this.
Yes. Well, and I know you remember me saying this was, how can I do so much growth with it? It can't be that bad. And it's like, ooh, if I could go back and be like, oh no, it gets better. Like
it gets better. Yeah.
Everything will click into place. That that feeling of like lying or manipulating about my growth is gone. I believe it. I know that it's real and I trust it, and knowing my worth and loving myself, all of that is like so much bigger and more powerful now because I'm not addicted to that.
So good. We'll talk about like what that was looking like when you were in that place of addiction. Like why really, even though you were healing and like, yeah, you were healing so much, even with the marijuana. So it was kind of like, well, why do I have to let it go? Cause I'm doing all this stuff, you know, it is working. So what? But I think for people to like relate, it'd be awesome to hear like that vulnerability of like, what was it that was, what did that look like when you were using the marijuana as a way to cope or deal with things?
Everything. Joy included weed. Sadness, I would run to it. Overwhelm for sure.
Like when you felt sad or overwhelmed, it's like, oh no, I don't want to feel this. I'm going to go. Okay.
Yes. Even happy.
Even joy.
Like, yes. It was too big. It dulled whatever emotion or feeling I had. And that's why like I'm, a little sour that I haven't done the 180 method sober, because it's feelings. Like we get into feelings, big, deep, like feelings. And I was still shallow. I was pretty much on every call stoned, like my whole life. Wake up. That's what I did. Everywhere I went, like that's what it included. Even the community I lived in, it would come to me like that. It was every part of me, and I didn't know what I would look like without it. Yeah. It was what I went to with any feeling at all. And being sober and having to feel these feelings. Oh, I told my friends, I was like, is this what y'all are feeling? Like, this is really intense. Like, I didn't know I was signing up for all this. Like it's very different.
Yeah, it's so true. And I love that you're mentioning the joy part too, because you don't just suppress like, oh, I'll only suppress these emotions. Right. Like we get to pick and choose. No, it's all emotions. If you're suppressing in one area, you're suppressing in another area. They go hand in hand. So thank you for mentioning that too. And it's like anything big, it sounds like, that felt beyond, the word that comes up, and maybe you have a better word for it, like blah.
Yeah. Status quo, like
status quo,
middle, but beyond middle, high, low, anything. It was like, oh, this is too much. I got to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's so silly because I didn't get to feel the depths of joy. I didn't get to really sit there. And I know that, I was grateful before, but this new level of gratitude is way beyond. This is, I didn't even know, it's beautiful.
Awesome. Okay. So where are you at today?
Today,
but where are you at today?
And I've thought about it a handful of times when things were hard, but I have no desire to do the detox again. Doctors aren't aware of how to help you. It is not a known struggle because it's legal and it's just relaxed, talked about, and it's not a big deal. And it is, and it's very much addictive. And I'm going to end up being a poster child talking about that. Watch, but I'm safe. I have a beautiful home. That's new. I lived in a trailer park. That was where it was really easy to use. We're in a home now. I have a car that's dependable. Like it's just everything, every ounce of my life has 180'd. And I have safety and peace and I have every opportunity to run in any direction, career wise, passion wise. And yet I feel like frozen in fear of success, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. I have no idea. I mean, I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified nutrition coach. I have my network marketing business. I would love to have a coaching business. I do have clients Friday nights that are teenage girls that I work with. And I know I have so much to give. Heavenly Father did not bless me this much to get me this far to sit on it. Right. And I don't want to let him down. I literally want to do it all. I just came up with, even when you don't want to, I actually hear the words in the morning when my alarm goes off and I have to put on my tennis shoes for the treadmill. I get to put on my tennis shoes for the treadmill. But even when you don't want to, I believe that's what responsible adults hear in their head when they have to do things, even when you don't want to. And I am at that place where I get to hear that. And it's pretty rad. But I told another coach that I have, Brooke, that I want to change the world. And I was talking to Aaron about, I got an incredible message from somebody about their sister's addiction, taking her life, and that she had so much resentment towards her sister. And I'm healing that through my story. And what a blessing that message was for me. I showed Aaron this message, another coach, and I was like, look at me changing the world. She said, even when you didn't want to. So that's where I'm at. I'm doing the things even when I don't want to. I just don't know where to run.
Yep. All the things that you want to do you notice a pattern between them? If you could identify what pattern is there between all the things you want to do, what would you say?
Everything I've done. Wellness.
What do you mean?
Better. Because I am moving my body, I became a personal trainer because I wanted to know more about that. Because I'm eating better, I became a certified health coach or a nutrition coach. I wanted to know how to do that better. Honestly, taking my supplements for my network marketing company because I want to do better. It's every place of my growth that I want to share back. I just don't know in what direction to do that in.
Mm-hmm. Is it about the direction? Because you have all these opportunities, all these directions to go. And I get why you're saying logically you don't know what direction to go into. But I'm questioning that that's actually the thing.
All of it?
Well, think about that for a second, Crystal. You're saying that you don't know what direction to go in. What does that actually mean when you say that?
I think I'm afraid to pick one.
Good. So let's talk about that fear. What is it you're afraid of in picking one?
Letting Heavenly Father down that I've picked the wrong one, a way to be least impactful. I want to change the world. I don't care how cheesy that sounds anymore.
Yeah, good. I love that.
I don't care.
Okay. So you're afraid to pick the wrong one.
Yes.
Because you don't want to let Heavenly Father down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to fulfill all of the blessings he's given me. I know he's proud. I get that, but I want to do it all.
So let's talk about what changing the world actually looks like. What does that even mean when you say you want to change the world?
Well, getting that message about that friend of mine on Facebook who is healing that relationship with her deceased sisters, because of that addiction, that's changing the world. Giving 2 of my friends motivation to quit smoking marijuana because I did, and they didn't know a bigger stoner than me. And if I could, they can. That's changing the world. Another friend of mine just asked me to start doing movements of the day where I show people, how to lift a weight correctly or how to do a movement correctly. That's changing the world. I guess I don't know how to do it big or enough or reach enough people. I just want to have a bigger impact.
Right. And right now, the way you're describing it, it's situational, which is awesome. It's giving a good examples, but it's not really grounded or rooted in the big picture of what that actually means.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, you tell me what you hear in that first.
That I'm honing in too small. I need to go bigger, but I don't know what that means. That's where I guess I'm stuck.
Exactly. Yes. And if you don't know, because you're starting here with these little things instead of the bigger picture, it's hard to know what direction to go. We'll come back to the fear in a moment here, but it's hard to just know, period, what direction to go when you're focused in on all the little things rather than knowing what that big piece is.
Definitely.
Yeah. How's that land?
I still don't know what the big piece is.
I got it. And that's what we're here. We're going to uncover that, what that big piece is.
I'm excited.
Okay. Do you have paper with you?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Okay, very good. This has to come from within you and what God has already placed in your heart. And up until this point, you've been blocking what that vision is. One, because of where you were at in your healing journey. But now two, the fear is still kind of blocking it. So we got to pick through the weeds to see this. So I want you to just write down, if I knew what my big vision was, and then specifically put, are you writing this down? If I knew what my big...
I know.
Okay.
I have always wanted to stand on stages and share my story. I don't even know how to think to begin to do that because that isn't any of the things I know how to do.
Okay. But that still doesn't talk about like changing the world and what that means. That's how you're going to do it. That's how you see yourself doing it, but it's not what it is you're going to be doing in changing the world and what it means to change the world. Do you follow me there?
Yes.
Okay. So if I knew what it was going to be, big picture of me changing the world, what does me changing the world look like? And the reason why I'm putting that, if I knew blank, and I'm going to speak to our audience here too. So often it's like we go to this place of, I don't know, instead of looking at it from the reason why we say I don't know is because we don't want to be wrong. Right? Sure. Like, who wants to be wrong? Nobody wants to be wrong. So it's like better to just say I don't know than to be wrong. So by saying, if I knew, you're giving yourself the permission to not have to be right. It's just take a guess. Like you're opening up the door to just allowing things to come through instead of it having to be the right thing. Okay. So you have your question?
Yeah.
Okay. First things that come up. What does changing the world mean? If you knew what that meant.
Leaving it a better place than how I entered it.
Good.
Having big positive impact.
Okay. What else?
Influencing while giving glory to God.
What else?
Write a book comes to mind, and I don't like that.
Good. What else comes up?
I'm continuing to be my best me.
Okay. So you're still talking about these things from how it would look versus what it would be.
Can you give me a different question?
Yes.
Okay.
If you were going to define specifically changing the world and how somebody's like going to Webster's dictionary to look at the definition of change the world means this. Because Crystal, it also has to connect to a specific subject, a specific, in marketing, people call it niche. It's like the why, right? Of like the why, the who, that all is part of the what.
So but people love themselves would be my answer then.
Okay. So making the world a better place, changing the world would mean helping others love themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel whole, feel safe, feel love for themselves. I feel like that's kind of rare and sad. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but it took a lot of determination and grit to learn to love myself. And if I could make that easier for anyone else, I would like to do that.
Yes. Okay, so I want you to write down these words. Whole, safe. Before I keep going, what's coming up now emotionally?
I'm just grateful. Sometimes I'm like, pinch me, but wait, don't. Cause I didn't give up. I kept going.
Okay. Okay, so keep writing. We're going to add this one in. Didn't give up. Love themselves, love for themselves. Grit and determination. Yeah, what was that breath for?
Well, I just didn't think these would ever describe me, honestly. And yep. I'm sure that they do.
And it's also describing what changing the world means. So it doesn't just mean writing a book or leaving the world a better place, because that's still too minute down here. We still need that bigger picture of it. And the bigger picture of it is helping others know wholeness, know love, not give up, to love themselves, to have grit, to have determination. If you were going to put all those things into one kind of statement or thing, again, there's a pattern here. What would you say?
I just think of like being a coach.
But that's how, again, we're still talking on the what.
I'm really good at that. Say it again in a different question.
What is the connection between all those things? The pattern, so to speak, but maybe more so the connection.
God.
Absolutely. How so?
I guess having others come to know him.
What does changing the world look like?
Helping others come to know God. And helping them see themselves closer to the way that he sees them.
Which is exactly where we started and what you shared of what's happened for you. Okay, write that down.
This is special because I brought people to church just last week and their kids were obsessed with the little baby Jesus and the nativity, and it was so tender, and I cried, of course. So
Good job. Okay. Tell us what you wrote.
Helping others know God and see how he loves them and have them love themselves this way.
Beautiful. How does that feel?
Really good. Really good. I need to rebrand my coaching.
Yeah. All of it. Like, again, you were down here, but we needed this whole piece, the big overarching, so that now it starts to make sense on the direction in which you go. But before we do that, let's come to the fear.
Oh, man.
What is this fear really about?
Letting people down.
Very good. I'm so glad you said that. Now, what had you say that?
I don't know. When you talk, things make sense. I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah, I don't want to say that I'm going to help others do this and then that not happen.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Yeah, I completely hear what you're saying. And yes, that is a layer of the fear. But if we get to the root cause of what the fear is about, it's not about letting them down. It's about letting.
Oh, Heavenly Father down. Yeah. Again, with all the blessings he showered on me, like fire hosed blessings. I've got to turn that into some masterpiece because I have been given so much. I'm determined to move mountains.
So you're determined to move mountains, yet you haven't.
Correct.
Because what's been the block or the fear?
I again just want to say I don't want to let people down, but I am by not doing it. So I don't know.
And really, you don't want to let him down. You want to. It's like multi-layered. You don't want to let him down, and you don't want to let others down. And you let others down because then you don't change the world by having them see themselves through his eyes. And you let him down because you didn't help people see God and come to him. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So I'm just going to bask in the beauty of this glorious time and gifts that he's given me because this is safe and I'm the safest that I've been. And all the things that happen from here lead into bigger unsafe places, but it all comes down, which is so funny. One of the first things I wrote down, where is Crystal stuck? That's what I put in my note. You probably can't read. Where is Crystal stuck? And then there was an arrow. Doesn't want to let them down. Didn't even know what we were going to talk about.
That's true.
And then when I asked you, you said it. And I'm like, oh, actually, I think I wrote that down at the beginning.
That's why I love you. Okay.
I know, like, it's not me, it's him. Like, what's the vessel here?
He's the coolest.
So how's that landing?
Square.
Okay. How's it feel?
Heavy.
For real though. Like,
yeah, like again, just showing up, it doesn't feel like enough, right? Like I just want to do something more. And I wonder if just showing up is what's needed right now. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if we look at all those little pieces that you were talking about and like examples that you were sharing, it was you just showing up. I think the part that was the bigger missing is knowing why, knowing that big why. And if you focus on that more so than what am I going to do? Because really you're asking, how am I going to do this? Because I can do it through my nutrition coaching. I can do it through my network marketing business. I can do it through my regular coaching. No, it's not about that. It's just about allowing God to use you in the way in which he's designed you, which is to help bring people to him and to know him. And that doesn't mean necessarily like taking them to church. It may just mean showing up online and sharing about a challenging experience with your kids for that day, or something that allowed you to feel a wholeness that came up, or the fear of not wanting to let other people down. Because if you let other people down, Crystal, then like what? What are you afraid of in that?
I don't know. Well, that's not true. So I am used to being pitied. I grew up in abuse. I married abuse. I have lots of trauma, and I don't want to be pitied anymore. I'm in a place where I don't need or want or desire to be the victim. And I guess letting people down, I would feel that way again. Less than, or not enough, or fill in that blank.
Yep. So we're kind of back to, you're afraid of going back to where you were at before.
Yes. Because dang it, I fought to get here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give that up.
Okay. So here's where your next layer of healing is then, of all the healing you've done, but are you owning that the next layer of healing is yours to own as well? Like that nothing can be it can't be taken from you.
Because I don't think I'm too scared to show up vulnerable,
No.
on social.
I mean, you're like, here you are. Like, no, you're not.
So I don't know. I guess I'm expecting me to do some profound thing when I guess all that needs to happen is me being consistently vulnerable.
And whether you are pitied or not, that's not what it's about, because you have to look at that bigger reason. What changing the world looks like. You can't just want to change the world. You have to know what that means for you. Now you do. And so honing in on that and actually hooking into it to where you truly own that. Yeah, it doesn't matter what others think of you, because you're doing your purpose, your mission, your calling.
I love that.
I know. It's amazing.
I can do that.
You can. So what does that do then for the fear of like not letting them down? And then that meaning that what if you go back?
When you say it like that, which is the same way you said it before, but I heard it different. It's more like the other people's opinions thing still mattering, right? Like I still care what they think. And I feel like I've released a lot of that. But
Sure.
they're still there.
Yeah. Layers, layers there. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Do you know how? Okay. Hold on. Let me back up for a second. Which holds a bigger impact for you? So tune into this. See if you can tune into which one holds a bigger impact. Letting others down, or that other layer we found of going back to where you were?
Definitely the second.
Yeah, I've had a feeling that was, because if you let others down, it's like, well, then you're not worthy anymore. You're not good enough anymore. You're bad. Wasn't that your ego's identity?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Landing.
Landing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So not that you want to focus in on this, but you're no longer suppressing or running away from, right?
That's right.
Okay. If you focus in on that, the second part that feels the hardest, how do and at this point, it just really has to be more of a question that you answer versus going into some deeper healing stuff, because we only have a few minutes here. But tell me, what do you feel the healing of that needs to be with where you're at right now?
The healing of not wanting to go backwards.
Uh-huh.
Trusting myself, Heavenly Father, trusting that I can stand on my own 2 feet. Yep. So time, I feel like I don't know.
No, time is not going to be your friend here. So I know I'm saying no just immediately and not.
I love it.
You know why I'm saying time is not going to be your friend here?
No.
Because you want to change the world now.
Yes.
So it's not, and you have been already waiting, so to speak, on all these opportunities and all these gifts that God's given you and all the healing that you've done. And now you have, especially now after this conversation, you have clarity. You know what the big thing is. Both things. You know the big what changing the world looks like. You know why you're doing it. And you also know what the fear has been that's been stopping you.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Yes. Writing down, guys, is so good.
I almost bought a super cheap trailer to keep in my backyard here, just in case if I ended up messing it all up.
See?
Like it's a big, 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 scary fear.
Yep. Okay. You actually said the thing that is required for your healing at this level that you're at right now. It's not time. It's trust.
Yes.
So it's interesting because trust. Now, this might sound like an odd question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Who do you think is the one not trusting? And when I say who, it's only you. So what comes up when I say that word who?
Satan.
Okay, yeah. But he's not you.
Right.
Okay, so you. What part of you is not trusting?
The unhealed part?
Okay, yes, very good. Keep going. Who else?
Is this the child? Is this me? Okay. Tell me more.
Yeah, it is. Like we all carry everything, every trauma, every pain, every hardship. It all comes back to our childhood. Every fear we hold, every shame we've, hooked into, every guilt we've attached to tends to come from our childhood. And so everything kind of connects to that because there was a point in life where we were in just complete childlike trust. You didn't know like the stuff going on. You just knew God fully, wholly. You didn't know other people judging you. Your friend could have said, those are the shoes you're wearing. And you would have been like, let's go pray. You know,
I see that in my children, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, totally. That childlike trust. And so that is the trust that we're going to. But this question of who is the one that needs to trust, there's a point where that childlike trust went away because the child experienced something and immediately, suddenly was like, wait, I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm bad. I'm worthless, whatever these things are that we make up. So is it you, the adult, that isn't trusting, or you, the child, that isn't trusting? Who do you think it is?
I want to say child, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, if you want to say child, I would say, yeah, that's probably yes.
So more healing for her?
Yeah. And getting back to that childlike trust before she learned something different. Before she learned that someone's comment meant something bad about herself. That's where that trust is going to come into play. And that trust cannot happen without the connection with God. So if you're going to be leading others to him, you're leading yourself closer to him too.
I love that.
Right? So trust just starts to come up more naturally. Trust isn't one of those things that are like, yeah, I trust myself. No, it's actually like the little girl who needs to know she can trust you, the adult.
I don't know if you remember definitely the second 180 method, but when you had me do that visualization, that's the only thing that me and her did. I hugged her and said it was okay.
Yeah. So that's what's required now, this level. And going back to her and, talking about trust and getting back to that place of, cause it's where she wants to live to, before trust was broken, before she made up these things about herself, before ego was born, before Satan came in to like manipulate and, and having that just real conversation with her around trust is something that is deepened and developed and takes courage and surrender. You cannot trust without surrendering. They go hand in hand. So she has to surrender as well as you do too. Because if you don't surrender, Crystal, you're not going to be able to trust. And if you don't trust, you're not going to be able to surrender. That's why they go hand in hand. And without those two things, whatever you do, writing a book, being on stages, coaching, none of those things can happen without the surrendering. And I think that is actually what happened when you decided to get sober. for the last time. It's surrender that happened. So tell me what's coming up. How's this landing?
Good. I, to be honest, didn't try any of the other times I told you I was going to. So This was the only time I tried, and I did it. And that's
right. And tried what? Just so that the listeners are clear.
Right. I told you I wanted to quit marijuana like 100 times, and I never did. And I told you I was gonna, and then I never did. And this time I actually did, and I did it, and I am doing it, and it will not ever happen again because I'm not going through the detox again. But anyway, that has brought huge trust. That was a huge, scary thing I did, and I did it, and I was successful. And I think that my trust meter was much, much bigger than, I trust myself more than I ever have. And that's probably why I'm able to love myself more than I ever have and have this incredible relationship with God more than I've ever had, is just because I've proven it to myself.
Right. And so not only have you proven it to you, the adult, but you're proving it to the child too.
Well, and that's where I felt like I wanted to say more time to show I am disciplined and consistent and things like that. But I think surrender is more than less than time.
Exactly. Because you don't know how much time you actually have. And so the surrender you can have instantly right now in this moment. Whereas time, you don't know, but you can surrender in this moment.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are your key takeaways here?
My why.
Yes.
In the world. That's really the best takeaway.
Good. So what does that do for your direction now?
I'm going to show up in him. I think he's just going to be a lot more of the center of everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
I like to bring him in when I work. I normally pray before to know what to say and make sure that, it's what needs to be heard. And I think that surrendering rather than just barreling through like, I have, has been wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And so what does that do for the physical directions of what to take?
Oh man, I don't know. Showing up more on social media. That's really all I can think of as far as, and then what the direction will just happen.
Yeah.
More of a surrender.
Okay. Here's where I think this is like another conversation, but let me just leave this piece with you. We're all given different gifts, like God bestows upon us, different gifts. And one of your giftings is to be able to do and see things, lots of things, not just like one thing, like one task and do that task wholly until the end, like wholly, fully until the end. You have the capability and the gift to do many different things. Do you agree?
Yes, very much.
Do you have a name for that?
ADHD.
That is not what it's called. You're funny. No, but it's connected to that. It's just the gift can become a curse, by the way, which, no. But it's actually a gift from God to be able to have that creativity and that ability to see lots of different things and be able to do lots of different things. So if you try and pigeonhole yourself into one thing, it is not going to work for you. You have, again, the ability, the capability of doing many different things. I want to use an example here. Do you know who Joanna Gaines is?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know many people who don't know who she is. Like, very successful. Okay. She's a designer. That's how she started. But she has a gift also of doing many, many, many different things. So if she had just stuck to design and that's all she did was design, nobody would know her name. So she has a greater vision, had her greater why. And because she has this gift to do many different things, she was able to do that. And of course, get support and help along the way. But it's like they've got the flipping business. She has the magazine. She has a TV network. She has a cooking show. She, has all these different businesses, a hotel, a castle, like all these different things, a bakery, a coffee shop, all of that. But it all comes back to her greater why. So I'm sharing all of this for you so that you don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking it's only one avenue in which you fulfill this greater why.
Okay. I'll do it all at the same time.
I mean, you might have to build, but
I'll do
don't
it.
pigeonhole yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Use the gift God gave you in that. Otherwise, it'll be harder and take you longer to fulfill the why.
Perfect.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Great. I want to go update my website.
Good. Go do that.
Yes.
Go do that. And make sure you do connect with that little girl and do some healing around going back and not knowing that she can trust you and you can trust her. And more importantly, you can trust God that that's not going to happen. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right, y'all. That brings us to completion of this episode of Decide to Heal. Crystal, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing your story and letting us go here with you. Give Crystal some love, share the insights and things that came up for you as you were listening into this episode. And if you found value in this and know that someone else could really benefit from tuning in, please share this episode with them and review as well. That helps us to just help more people, because my greater why is helping people get closer to God with the mission of bringing God back into the self-help industry. So thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Crystal. I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
Welcome.